All right, here with Scout.com national recruiting analyst Greg Biggins. So, Greg, let's start off first talking about a guy that I know you watched closely over the years, and curious what your thoughts are on Wilton Speight and how he's performed thus far this week.
Yeah, man, I saw him a lot more yesterday than today. I didn't see him as much today, but I think he's doing well. You know, he's real calm in the pocket. I like that about him. And I noticed a lot of development over the last few years, just in terms of his mechanics. You know, working with Steve Clarkson, who we both know pretty well. You know, arm good enough, but for a big guy, he really moves. You know, he's not going to break any 40-yard dash records, but he makes that first guy miss. It's all you want for your quarterback to do, and he moves around really well, and I like his presence about him. He throws the ball pretty well, on time, touch, accurate. Overall, I like Will. I think he's had a pretty good week so far.
You know, I think it's always curious and interesting to talk to guys when they first see a guy and don't have a glowing opinion of him, and to see the kind of metamorphosis. Take us back to your first experience with Wilton Speight and where he was, and so we can kind of get a grasp on how the magnitude of his growth.
So I saw him the first time 2-3 years ago, when at that time I think we all thought he was a senior. I think he kind of had the reclassification. But at the time, I was at one of Steve's camps, and I'm thinking, okay, this guy's kind of tall, gawky, doesn't really look the part, has that kind of over the head release. I just thought, he's a nice enough guy. Maybe he'll go to a lower level, max school if he's lucky, kind of a thing. Then fast forward, Steve's kind of talking to me and saying, no, Michigan's going to offer Wilton. I go, Michigan Wolverines? Or is there like another Michigan junior college I don't know about? And I saw him again last year at the camp, and he was incredible. I mean, again, it was a night and day difference, just in terms of just being comfortable as a quarterback. And confidence in any sport is huge. And he was so confident. Wilton's a very confident kid to begin with. He's very comfortable in his own skin. I mean that in a good way. Right. But just being able to drop and to throw the ball on time and know where he's going with the ball and all that. Again, mechanically tighten up his release. Arm is a little more live. Arm strength, for me, arm strength is always going to be a little overrated in a quarterback. I think if you get the ball out on time to the right guy, that's better. He doesn't have a huge arm, but it's strong enough. He can make the deep throws, he can make the outs, he can do all those things. But just from 3 years ago to today, it's like he's a different sport he's playing.
You mentioned something earlier. You said he's not going to break 40-yard dash records, but extending plays is, I think, what you're alluding to. And that's something that Steve Clarkson talked about. Said, hey, I look at a guy like Ben Roethlisberger. He extends plays. He's not a scrambler like a Johnny Manziel, but extending plays so he can get the ball out. That seems to be what you're kind of saying about Wilt.
And the funny thing is, I've seen guys that can run 4.4s and 4.5s, but when they get flushed, heads down, they're looking nothing but to run. Wilton has his head up looking down the field. So he's extending plays, but he's also looking to make a play with his arm. He's not just, all of a sudden you see that chaos and you just kind of panic, freak out, and then you just run into your own lineman because you don't know where you're going with the football or just don't have a clue what you're doing. I think Wilton, he's calm under pressure. That's just kind of his personality. So when he can extend the play, and it's funny, Ben Roethlisberger, that's the guy who Steve wants to compare Will to.
Exactly. That's why I mentioned that's who Steve compared him to.
I mean, no one ever compares a guy to a slappy, right? I mean, I always kind of say everyone's got to be compared to the next Joe Montana, next Drew. If you're short, you're Drew Brees. You know, if you're tall but can move, you're Ben Roethlisberger. So I don't know if I want to hold off on that.
Hey, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Hold off a little bit on the Ben Roethlisberger thing, but I do like him. He's smart. So I think Wilton's a really smart kid, and I think he's going to be able to go into an offense and pick it up a lot quicker than a lot of other quarterbacks. So I'm hopeful, because I like him as a person. I'm hopeful he goes in there and does some good things.
Now, one of his passes that was picked off today was picked off by Jabril Peppers.
Jeez.
Now, it should be noted, because Wilton wanted to make sure, hey, he got Jabril first with a back shoulder, with a back shoulder throw that he completed, but then Jabril came back and picked him off. So what did you think of Jabril Peppers?
I think I mistakenly tweeted Julius Peppers. Honestly, he looks like a stinking NFL guy out there. Jabril, referring to. I mean, I've never seen him before until this week. And there's some guys out here that, whether it be Jabril or Leonard Fournette, Cam Robinson, they look like NFL. I mean, they have NFL bodies right now. I mean, if they went to an NFL team, you would not think Peppers was a high school kid. I mean, he's legs, the calves. I'm not trying to sound all weird, but just the way I'm very secure in my masculinity. But just looking at him, that's a man, a full-grown man already, and he's tough and he's physical, and he plays the run. He obviously has the speed to play the pass. I mean, he is an instant impact guy wherever he goes. I can't wait to watch him play.
And so when you look at him, he's playing corner out here. One of the coaches said, I see him as a safety. He talked about possibly being a nickel. Where do you kind of project him at the next level?
I mean, obviously, I think any kid wants to play corner. That's the highest value. If you're looking at the highest level, NFL, who gets drafted higher, your corner or your safety? Your corner always gets that higher draft. So for me, I think he has the athletic ability to play corner, but he's so big and physical, and I think you can almost impact a game playing center field. You can't really, if you have a great corner, you can throw away from him, like you just mentioned. But still, I mean, if you can have a guy who can maybe, shut down one side of the field, that's kind of important too, right? So, I mean, I think it depends. If he continues to, physically develop, I mean, right now he's thick. I mean, he's a big kid. When he gets to college, is he going to add another 5-10 pounds just by being in that weight program and that nutrition and getting all that? If he keeps getting, he ends up 215, 220. Can he stay at corner? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. The good thing is, though, he can easily play either spot. So there's no downside to him at all.
All right. Greg Biggins, man, appreciate your time.
Sure, man. Anytime.